Excellencies, distinguished I would like to reopen this session so that we can work on the documents that are now ready for discussion. But before we revert to the draft report, I would like to give the floor to the representative of the EU. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We apologize to go back to the issue of co-sponsorship, but we had a meeting on this during the lunchtime. So the EU and its member states, who are states parties to the convention, would like to co-sponsor the following resolutions. L3, Revision 2, promoting the use on information and communications technologies for the implementation of the UNCAC. L9, Rev 2, follow-up to the Marrakesh Declaration on the prevention of corruption. And L10, Rev 1, continuation of the review of implementation of the UNCAC. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. The Secretariat will take note of that. We now have the possibility to revert to the draft report and its discussion. The document here is CAC, COSP, 2015 L1, Add 5. This is report section 8, implementation of Article 63, paragraph 4C of the Convention, including discussion on cooperation with relevant international and regional organizations and mechanisms and non-governmental organizations. Does any delegation wish to make any comment on this section of the report? Algeria, please. Thank you, Mr. President. It's not on this item. I had requested the floor beforehand. I wished to state that we would like to figure as co-sponsors in the St. Petersburg statement. Thank you. Thank you. The Secretary has taken note of that. China, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My understanding is that we're not going through the document Add 5 paro by paro. Is that right? If that's so, I would like to make some comments on paragraph 5, if that's possible. Thank you. In the last but one line in paragraph 5, we proposed to add the following clause after the substantive representation. Yeah.
Standards with higher standards with with regard to professionalism and expertise. I repeat, as well as higher standards with regard to professionalism and expertise. Thank you.
Thank you. As in previous cases, I would ask for a written text for the Secretariat. Anybody else wish to take the floor? Finland, please. Thank you.
Chairman, Finland thinks this is an excellent report. We have noted that it balances all the various points made. Finland had introduced a separate conference room paper, and this has been noted. But we would like to suggest the insertion of a new paragraph 3A following the present paragraph 3, and I have already provided a copy of this to the Secretariat. This new paragraph 3A would read as follows. The representative of Finland introduced conference room paper CAC/COSP/215/CRP.3. The speaker noted the continuing disagreement over the interpretation of paragraph 42 of the terms of reference on the intergovernmental nature of the implementation review group. The speaker noted that the views of the different sides are based on fundamental concerns, which should be recognized and respected as legitimate. He supported a step-by-step confidence-building approach, which in his view would be in line with paragraph 2 of Resolution 4/6. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Большое спасибо.
Thank you very much. The Secretary has taken note of that. Costa Rica, please.
Gracias, señor.
Thank you, Mr. President. At the moment, I don't want to refer to the resolution, but as in line with Algeria and the European Union, we would like to have our co-sponsorship added to L6 put forward by Mauritius. Thank you.
Спасибо.
Thank you. We've taken note of that. USA, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My delegation has a small edit to paragraph 10 of Addendum 5 to reflect the intervention that my delegation made during this agenda item. On the second line of paragraph 10, it would read, agendas of the conference in accordance with Rule 8 of the Rules of Procedure. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Благодарю вас.
Thank you very much. The Secretary has taken note of that. Anybody else wish to take the floor? Microphone, please, for the President.
Пожалуйста, раздумали?
Yes, you've changed your mind. If there's no further requests for the floor, in that case, this section of the report has been adopted. Ecuador? Ecuador, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. We would ask for indulgence. We weren't here this morning. We would like to co-sponsor the resolution submitted by the Russian Federation. Thank you.
Принято.
Thank you. We've taken note of that. European Union, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize I couldn't be here in the morning. I have a just small amendment to L1 para 12. Could I do it now? It's very it will be very quick. Yeah, thank you. In the para 12, third sentence, there is written, the representative reported on the European Union's, and after European Union's, we propose to add measures to tackle corruption, and then continue in the normal text, which means and cooperation projects and its financial contributions, etc. And in the fifth sentence, which starts, he noted the importance to add in this sentence, before beneficial ownership, please to add companies apostrophe. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Благодарю.
Thank you very much. And please submit a written version of that for the Secretariat. Thank you. El Salvador.
Gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you, Mr. President. In line with Ecuador, I would also like to apologize, as for the moment I'm the only representative of our delegation. I wasn't here this morning. We would like to co-sponsor 3 resolutions, and I will do so now if you will allow me. They would be, so El Salvador would co-sponsor resolution submitted by Brazil, that's L8, as well as that presented by Israel, L3, and presented by the Russian Federation, which is L11. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. We've taken note of that. Chile.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Mr. President. In line with those who have spoken before me, I would like to also apologize for not having been here this morning. I was attending a conference function. I would like to put forward our co-sponsorship of Morocco's resolution on the follow-up to the Marrakesh Declaration on behalf of the G77 and China. Thank you.
Большое спасибо.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to take the floor? If not, then the document L1 at 5 shall be deemed adopted. I'd now like to give the floor to Mr. Vlasis, representing the Secretariat, or rather, we will give Mr. Vlasis the floor at a later stage. We now have the concluding part of the report. This is L1 Addendum 4. This is Section 7, Implementation Review and Technical Assistance. Does any delegation wish to take the floor on this section of the report, the draft report?
Соединенные Штаты Америки.
United States of America.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one quick question on paragraph 4 of Addendum 4. With regard to the last sentence, it reads that those issues could benefit from further analysis during the conference's consideration, etc. But it does not seem to, the sentence as formulated does not seem to indicate who or what speaker raised that issue, or if it was simply an idea that perhaps was presented as part of the report that is the thematic report that is referenced at the top of paragraph 4. And we were just curious if it might be possible for the delegations to identify if they had made that statement or, in fact, what the source of that proposal was. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Спасибо.
Thank you very much. We've taken note of that. South Africa.
Many thanks, Mr. President. We apologize to take the floor at this stage on a separate issue, just to join the list of co-sponsors on the draft resolution tabled by the Russian Federation. Many thanks.
Спасибо. Это заявление принято.
Thank you. We've taken note of your statement. Cuba, please.
Señor presidente.
Mr. President. We would like to address our attention to the resolution L11. Cuba has co-sponsored this resolution.
Спасибо.
Thank you very much. State of Palestine.
شكرا.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. As a matter of fact, we tried hard to get your attention prior to approving the prior document, because we wanted to take the floor when you mentioned that whether or not there are any other statements. And as a matter of fact, we would like also to become co-sponsors of L4, the resolution submitted by Brazil. And also, we have a reservation that we would like to express about L3 Rev 2.
Statement, if this is allowed now by Your Excellency.
Пожалуйста.
Yes, please go ahead.
Pursuant to Rule 66, Para 2, explanation of position without a vote, the State of Palestine would like to express its reservation on document resolution CAC/2015/L3/Rev2, called promoting the use of information and communication technologies for the implementation of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. We would like to inform the conference that the State of Palestine doesn't have the ability to implement the OP paragraph of this resolution, OP1 of this resolution, due to the Israeli restrictions on Palestine to obtain the third generation of mobile technology, among other several restrictions opposed by Israel as occupied power that limit the development of the infrastructures of the information technology in Palestine. This unjustified position of Israel is violating the Oslo Agreement of 1993. The State of Palestine would like to express its reservation on this resolution OP1 because of the inability to comply with its requirement due to the mentioned restrictions opposed by the Israeli occupation. The State of Palestine would like to call upon the conference to ensure that the provisions of this resolution could be implemented in a realistic manner, that State of Palestine and its people could be able to enjoy the benefits of ICT and e-government mechanism, and to assist creating the environment to efficiently and meaningfully implement it. Thank you very much.
Спасибо.
Thank you very much. We've taken due note of that. Israel, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And we'd like to thank all delegations and all our co-sponsors for this resolution: El Salvador, European Union, Germany, and Austria. We are very sorry to hear the reservation by the delegation which just spoke of the Palestinian Authority. We are happy that the discussion about our resolution was conducted in a professional and objective manner. And we would not want to use the available time of this conference to reiterate again what our distinguished head of delegation said at the beginning of the discussion. We call upon the conference to continue towards the end of today in its collegial spirit, as it was the case in the past. And we again congratulate all the member states for their ability to conduct the discussions in a professional manner. Thank you.
Спасибо.
Thank you. Any further requests to make statements?
Ирак, пожалуйста.
Iraq, please.
شكرا جزيلا.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Allow me to apologize because we're not following up on certain resolutions in the morning session. So a couple of remarks on L11 and L1, if you allow us to do so. Thank you very much, Mr. President. With regards to L11, Rev 1, which pertains to St. Petersburg Declaration, we hereby declare that we do support as co-sponsors of this declaration, and also we have a suggestion here that we have to call upon the state parties in the UNCAC whose laws do not provide for the regulations pertaining to combating corruption, to adjust them and amend them accordingly so that they include the private sector, i.e. to extend the mandate of such laws. So probably we could insert in the document an invitation to such countries so that they introduce legal amendments so that they'll be able to extend the mandates of their own bodies to include the private sector in their anti-corruption mandates. We are one of those countries because we do not have a mandate or jurisdiction for that matter in order to include the private sector and the private businesses in our anti-corruption activities. Now, the other one pertaining to L1 Addendum 3. I also call upon the Secretariat to insert a provision that would prevent the state parties to resort to dual nationality as an excuse to escape issues related to corruption, so that will not be able to provide a form of immunity by claiming that you have a second nationality and therefore effectively enjoying impunity. And this is a huge problem and obstacle, because when the one who committed corruption or embezzled money claims that he has a dual nationality, goes to the second country of his of the second nationality and seeks protection there. Thank you very much. Shukran.
Thank you very much. Your statement has been duly noted by the Secretariat. With respect to amendments to documents that have already been adopted, that's not possible. Any amendments need to be made in accordance with the established procedures. Does any other delegation wish to take the floor? Peru, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I apologize. My delegation would also like to add ourselves to the list of co-sponsors of Resolution L11 submitted by the Russian Federation. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. That's been duly noted. Any further requests for the floor? I see no further requests for the floor. CAC COSP 2015 L1 Addendum 4 stands adopted. Or rather, Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and apology for taking the floor at this stage. Similar to the last speaker, I would like to co-sponsor the draft resolution submitted by the Russian Federation. And I'd like to kindly request that reflected. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have taken note of that. This does not impact the adoption of L4, or rather Ad 4, so it stands adopted. Mr. Vlasis now has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to clarify that with this, the adoption of L1 Addendum 4, all parts of the report have been adopted. There is one more part which will reflect the discussion or the opening and the closing of item 8 of the agenda, which has not been, there was no time to have it prepared, but this part will be added to the final report. So in order for delegations to be aware of the fact that there will be, the final report will have 2 lines regarding item 8, which was opened this morning. There was no one taking the floor. There was no discussion. It was closed. So just in order to be absolutely clear, the report will include also that item. Thank you.
Уважаемые коллеги,
Distinguished colleagues, I would like now to briefly revert to item 9 on the agenda, bearing in mind that we have not yet made progress or come to an understanding on the draft for the next session of the conference, the draft agenda, that is. I suggest that we take an hour out for discussions between the ambassador of Germany and the ambassador of Kuwait. So as to come to an understanding about this, this would take place in conference room B. So that would mean that we would return to this room at 5 o'clock. And I would call on all involved to make every effort to come to an agreement. We also have 2 draft resolutions outstanding for approval. These are at the final stages of completion, and that we will return to them after 5 p.m. We have the Secretariat now requesting the floor. Please go ahead.
President, as the President just announced, there will be informal consultation starting immediately for interested delegations under the joint leadership of the ambassadors of Germany and and Kuwait in conference room B, which is right next door. Let me also remind delegations that there are informal consultations on the 2 asset recovery-related draft resolutions taking place starting at 4 o'clock, so a few minutes from now, in conference room C. As the President said, he would expect delegations, at least those who will be involved in the consultations on the draft agenda, to revert here, hopefully with a solution by 5 o'clock. Thank you very much.
благодарю. Объявляю.
Thank you very much. The meeting is adjourned.